The Varaha Upanishad, presented by Svayam Prakash Sharma, Part 5b. Part 5b consists of the latter part of Chapter 4, in which the sage Ribhu continues with his discourse on the stages of development of wisdom and on Jiwan Mukri. The Upanishad. The sage Ribhu continues his discourse. He tells Nigad, then a person remains in that secondless state of Gur Sushupti, without fear, and with his consciousness almost completely destroyed. In this state, there is neither Sat nor is there a Sat. There is neither self nor is there not self. Just like in an empty pot in the Akash, there is void both within and without. There is void both inside the pot as well as outside it. Just like a filled vessel in the middle of the ocean, the person is full both within and without. He is full both inside as well as outside. Do not become either the knower or the known. Instead, become the reality which remains after all thoughts have been given up. Become the reality after the mind has been emptied of all thoughts. Discard all the distinctions of the seer, the sight and the seen, along with their affinities, and meditate solely on the Atma, which shines as the supreme light. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, an emancipated person, in whom, though he participates in the material matters of the world, yet the universe does not seem to exist for him, like the invisible Akash. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, the light of whose mind never sets or rises. In misery, his mind is never down, he is never unhappy. And in happiness, it does not rise. He is not elated, he is not happy. Such a person does not seek to change what happens to him. He does not seek to diminish his misery, nor does he seek to increase his happiness. He is content the way he is. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, who, though in his Sushupti, though in his state of dreamless deep sleep, is awake, and to whom the waking state is unknown, and whose wisdom is free from the affinities, free from the attachment to objects. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, whose heart is pure like the Akash, even though he acts, as it were, in consonance to love, in consonance to hatred, in consonance to fear, or in consonance to others. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, who does not have the conception that he is the actor, and whose buddhi or intellect is not attached to material objects, whether he performs actions or he does not perform actions. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, of whom people are not afraid, and who himself is not afraid of people, and who has given up all joy, who has given up all anger, and who has given up all fear. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, who, even though he participates in all illusory objects, he is cool amidst them, behaving as if they belong to others, and he is always full of the Atma. O Muni, that person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, who has eradicated all the desires of his Chit, who has eradicated all the desires of his consciousness, and is fully content with me, who am the Atma of all. That person is said to be a Jiwan Mukta, who, with an unshaken mind, rests in that all pure abode which is Chinmatra and which is free from all the modifications and changes of the Chit or consciousness. That person is said to be a Jivan Mukta, in whose Chit, in whose consciousness the distinctions of the universe do not arise. The distinctions such as I, the distinctions such as he, the distinctions such as you, and the distinctions such as others. Such distinctions that are visible and unreal, that appear to exist in the universe. Such distinctions do not arise in the consciousness of a Jivan Mukta. Follow the path that has been laid down by the Guru and the Shastras and enter Sat soon. Enter Brahm soon. The Brahm that is immutable. The Brahm that is great. The Brahm that is full. And the Brahm that is without objects. And having entered that Brahm, be firmly seated there. Remember, Shiv alone is the Guru. Shiv alone is the Vedas. Shiv alone is the Lord. Shiv alone is I. Shiv alone is all. There is none other than Shiv. The undaunted Brahman, the undaunted knower of Brahm, having known him who is Shiv, should attain wisdom. There is no need to utter many words, as those words just have the effect of injuring the organ of speech. Now I will tell you about two Jivan Muktas, about two emancipated rishis, and the different paths that they followed to achieve Jivan Mukti or emancipation. One such emancipated person is the Rishi Shuk, and the other emancipated person is the Rishi Vamdev. They both followed different paths. There are no others who have attained emancipation except by following these two paths. These are the only two paths for achieving Jivan Mukti or emancipation. There is no other path. The brave men who follow the path of the saved Shuk in this world, they become Sadhyo Mukta. That is, they become emancipated immediately after the body wears off. On the other hand, those persons who follow the path of the sage Vamdev, which is the path of the Vedanta in this world, they are subject again and again to rebirth, and they attain gradual, stage by stage emancipation through yoga, through sankhya, and through karmas that are associated with sattva. Thus, there are two paths that have been laid down by the Lord of the Devas, the path of Shuk and the path of Vamdev. The path of Shuk is called the bird's path, while the path of Vamdev is called the ant's path. Those persons who have known and understood the true nature of their Atma through the mandatory and prohibitory injunctions of the Vedas, through the inquiry into the true meaning of the Mahavakyas, through an inquiry into the true meaning of the sacred sentences of the Vedas, through the Samadhi of Sankhya Yoga, or through Asampragya Samadhi, and who have thereby purified themselves, they attain the supreme seat through the Shuk path. And people who, through the practice of Hatha Yoga, acquire siddhis such as anima, etc., and with the pain caused by yam, by postures and asanas and others, they become liable to the ever recurring obstacles that are caused by the siddhis. They do not obtain good results, and they are born again in a great family where they practice yoga through their previous karmic affinities. Then, through the practice of yoga, during many, many lives, such people attain salvation. They attain the supreme seat of Vishnu through the Vamdev path. In this way, there are two paths that lead to the attainment of Brahm and that are beneficent. They are the one, the path of Shuk, confers instantaneous salvation, while the other, the path of Vamdev, confers gradual salvation. To the person who sees all as the one Brahm, where is delusion? Where is sorrow? To the person who sees all and everything as Brahm, there is never any delusion and there is never any sorrow. Those persons who are under the eyes and guidance of those whose buddhi or intellect is solely occupied with the truth of Brahm, that is the end of all experience. They are released from all heinous sins. All beings who inhabit heaven and earth and who fall under the vision of the Brahmavits, they are at once emancipated from all the sins that they may have committed during many crores of births. Yes, all beings who inhabit heaven and earth and who fall under the vision of Brahmavits, they are at once emancipated from all the sins that they may have committed during many crores of births. This concludes part 5b and chapter 4 of the Varaha Upanishad. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om.